Finally told my wife that Saturdays are for Emma and me, not for covering Harper's absent dad duties, and now we're not speaking. I, 31 male, am married to my wife Amber, 30F. We have a daughter Emma 7F. The problem is my wife's best friend Jennifer, 30F, has a daughter as well Harper, 7F. Well, Harper's dad is a lazy sack of crap and refuses to do anything with his daughter. He is the type of guy that brags about how he never changed a diaper. Jennifer and Harper are usually at Amber and my house on the weekends because Harper's dad is drinking and watching sports all weekend. On Saturdays I normally spend all day with my daughter because I don't see her as much as I want to during the week. However, with Harper being there every Saturday, anything I do with Emma I have to do with Harper. Take Emma to the zoo. It's Emma, Harper and I taught them both how to ride bikes, takes them both to dance class, take them both to the kids' salon, and so on. Mother's Day was the last straw. I took them both to dance class Saturday morning. Amber and I also pay for both dance classes because deadbeat won't. On the way home Emma asked if we could stop to get something for mom for Mother's Day. I said sure, but then it ended up I had to buy something for Harper to her mom as well. On the way home I just kept thinking, why am I buying someone else's wife a Mother's Day gift? That's his job. A few days later, because I did not want to ruin Mother's Day, I told my wife that I am tired of raising Harper. Her real father needs to step up. I'm tired of it taking away time I get to spend with Emma. She said that Jennifer is her best friend and we need to be there for Harper. Now she is not speaking to me and sleeping in the guest bedroom. So Ida? Just wanted to add some updates to questions I see. Emma and Harper are best friends. It was my idea to spend Saturday with Emma. I work more during the week, so I wanted to spend Saturday with Emma and to give my wife a bit of a break. We pay for things. Jennifer's husband thinks it's a waste on money to pay for dance class and Jennifer can't afford to pay by herself. Jennifer and Harper do things with Amber and Emma 1 or 2 times a week together during the weeknights. Where's Harper's mom in all this? So your wife probably enjoys hanging out child-free with her friend every weekend. If your wife doesn't agree to friend-free days, maybe the mom should start needing to attend the outings too? I don't understand why Harper's mom isn't at least driving kids to dance since you pay it, etc. Are the gift and things you spend on her getting paid back to you? 7 years in, you've set the expectation and Harper is not going to understand your withdrawing. So for taking 7 years to decide this was an issue, you should definitely have a talk with this sorry excuse of a father, if anything just to tell him what you think of him. Why do you pay for her dance classes? Why can't either of Harper's parents do it? Update 1. So quite a few people has asked for an update on this situation. Sorry it's taken so long, but it's been a hectic few weeks. As for the updates, the Amber and I are fine. Her reaction was based on poor word choices by me, poor communication by both of us, and some things I was unaware of at the time. The short version is, things at home were much worse than I was aware of for Jennifer, and my wife had only recently found out how bad things were. Mother's Day was the straw that broke the camel's back for Jennifer as well. She was raised in a you must stay together for the kids' family. When Harper came to me for a gift, she realized that her daughter did not see her sperm donor as a father, so it was time to get out. Jennifer came to my wife to ask for help leaving because she had no family in the area and Jennifer does not have the financial resources to leave on her own. So the night my wife was going to ask me if we could help her is when I told her I was tired of raising someone else's kid. That's what caused her reaction. The Saturday after our initial argument, Jennifer did not come over and Emma went to her grandparents, so the wife and I had a long discussion about what was going on. That's when I found out all the stuff going on with Jennifer. The wife and I decided that Jennifer and Harper can stay with us for the time being. My problem was never with those two, it was that I had to take over for the deadbeat, or deadbeat if you prefer. When we told Emma about this, she was super happy her friend was staying with her. We had a conversation with her that if she wants to have time with either parent without Harper, just let us know, and we do not want her to feel left out of anything. Last weekend, with the help of a U-Haul and some friends of mine, we got all of Jennifer's and Harper's stuff and moved it into our house. The good thing is we have a 4-bedroom house, so everyone gets a bedroom. The bad news is my wife's office got moved to the basement. Wish me luck, we shall see how this goes. Update 2. So it's been almost a year since my last update, but with Mother's Day upon us I thought I would post an update and try to answer the questions I've gotten. Jen and Harper are still living with us. As I mentioned before, Jen did not make that much money. She worked as a phlebotomist for our local health network. The good news is with the current nursing shortage they have a program where they will pay for employees to go to nursing school. She was able to start that in the end of August. The bad news is it's an 18-month program and they only let you work 20 hours a week while you are in the program. So the arrangement is once she graduates she will move out then. That should be next May. The divorce with deadbeat is still ongoing. Once he found out he was going to have to pay child support, he tried every dirty nasty trick he could think of. No idea when it will be finished. My wife is doing good, she happy she is helping her best friend, but 5 people in a house is a lot more work than 3. Since she works from home, the pre- and post-school work falls on her. Emma and Harper are still best friends. Shockingly, Harper is doing much better in this environment than before. They don't do everything together anymore. Harper quit dance class, but she started with soccer. I think knowing that she will get fatherly attention no matter what she is doing has given her some freedom to pursue other interest. Harper has turned into my Lego buddy. Emma never had any interest, but Harper and I have done some nice sets together. Emma and I still have our daddy-daughter dates on the weekend. I still take her to dance class, and she started to take fencing classes. I don't know if I should be proud or scared that she could defeat me in a sword fight. I think I'm doing better a year later. That there is a plan with a timetable for Jen and Harper has relived a lot of stress from my life. That I also don't have to see deadbeat has also been a relief. I also try to take a few hours a month for me time and to do my hobbies. The bad part is I had thought that I was done with the portion of my life where I had roommates. It will also be nice when Jen either gets her nursing job and or gets child support so that Amber and I can stop footing the bill for so much. For all the people that said Jen was going to become our sister wife, or that I was going to cheat of my wife with her, or that she was going to ruin my marriage out of spite, or any of the weird sexual fantasies some of you people had, absolutely nothing has happened. Update 3. So, it's been over 2 years now and I've gotten a few requests for updates, and at this point I think this is concluded, so here is the final update, I hope. Emma, my daughter, is doing great, still doing dance, still loves the zoo, still best friends with Harper. Harper, Jennifer's daughter, is doing good, still my Lego buddy, has gotten into video games. She got a Switch last year, big into Stardew Valley and Animal Crossing. I have no idea what the point is to those games, but she must like them. I know way too much about her favorite character Audie. She is not doing dance anymore. Amber is still killing it at work. At this point I might be the gold digger in our relationship. Any guy that does not feel comfortable with their wife being the primary breadwinner, I feel sorry for you. She is still stressed out at home because she has a lot of extra housework that falls upon her because she is the one home because she works from home. She started to run to help relax, and as is typical for her, she excelled at it. Jennifer graduated from nursing school in May. She just passed her NCLEX exam, which I guess is the exam nurses must pass before they can get hired. She said she got a job on a med-surg tele floor. I have no idea what that is, but she sounds excited. Her divorce is done now. It went quick once deadbeat got his new girlfriend pregnant. Good luck to her, and she insisted that they get married. Shockingly, sarcasm alert, deadbeat still has no interest in seeing Harper. He has seen her maybe 3 or 4 times in the past 2+ years. The exciting news is that Jan and Harper moved out at the start of July. She rented an apartment. So I finally have my house back. The apartment complex has a pool, so Emma is excited for sleepovers. The first sleepover is tentatively scheduled for this weekend as long as everything is unpacked. I am looking forward to a night of just the wife and I with everything settled and money for the divorce. Jen has started to pay us back. We refused money, but she paid for Amber and I to go to Disney for a Run Disney event this year. It was fine, but a 10K in Florida is not my idea of fun, but my wife had a good time. Amber wants to get up to a half marathon. She also paid for us all to go to Disney World this summer. Both girls are super excited. The both can wait to meet the princesses. And yes, there will be separate hotel room for them and us. It sucks that Harper's dad has no interest in her. With them moving out, I have been promoted to cool uncle. I think I'm fine with that role. I am also looking forward to the Disney trip. I have loved Disney since I was a kid. Update 4. So, I wasn't going to do another one of these, but a lot has happened since the we finally have our house back era, and it all kind of snowballed into one very weird, very good, very exhausting run of months. I'll start with the big thing because my wife said I can't bury the lead the way I usually do. Amber is pregnant. I'm 31 plus some change going on 32 and apparently not done with diapers after all. We found out 2 weeks before our big Disney trip. She thought it was all stress and the half marathon training messing with her, but then she cried because our grocery store was out of her favorite peanut butter pretzels, and I joked that she was pregnant and she did the stare at me, go silent, walk to the bathroom test, and then we both sat on the floor staring at a stick like it was a magic wand. We waited until the trip to tell the girls because we wanted it to be a happy thing and not a dad crying on the linoleum thing. We did the corny ears with big sister shirts and I thought Emma was going to jump into the castle moat with excitement. Harper looked at me and said, "Does this mean I get promoted from niece to cousin?" And I said, "It means you're stuck with me forever," and she said, "Good." The trip was insane in all the ways a Florida in July trip can be insane. Our flight got delayed because of storms, then undelayed, then delayed again. We finally land and Emma immediately declares the airport smells like French fries and rain, which might be the most accurate description I've ever heard. The first night we tried to do the fireworks and the skies opened up like someone dumped a pool on us. We bought ponchos and still looked like we had just swam in our clothes. Harper's hair turned into this giant lion's mane and she was cackling like a maniac and insisting we ride the carousel because horses don't mind rain. The next morning we did the ears surprise and Amber cried again. This was my pre-warning that yup, pregnant. I carried a backpack that felt like I was smuggling bowling balls and we still somehow didn't have enough snacks. Disney itself was a fever dream of sugar and lines and those weird magical moments that make you forget your feet hate you. Emma got pulled to open a little street show in the morning and bowed with this dramatic fencing flourish she's been practicing, and all these tourists cheered and I got punched in the arm 3 times by Amber because she was so proud. Harper met a princess and clammed up, and then later told me, privately, that she didn't want to say the wrong thing because princesses are busy, so we did a practice conversation while walking to a ride and she tried again later and nailed it. At one point a cast member noticed my shirt was soaked through and handed me a towel with a dad status unlocked, and I swear to God that was the closest I've ever come to tears over fabric. The girls traded pins, ate a terrifying number of Mickey bars, and we all almost perished in line for some ride that I can't remember the name of because it was 1000 degrees and I could hear my pulse behind my eyes. The best part for me was one midday monsoon that cleared out a chunk of people, so we did the haunted house thing like 3 times in a row, and Harper decided the ghost who sits with you was her new friend and then asked if you can bring a ghost home in your luggage. No. The worst part was we ran into Dead Beat at the airport on the way home. I swear I'm not making that up. We were at the gate, the girls were eating pretzels on the floor, and he strolls up in a tank top with some stag party crew headed to Vegas. I know because the shirt said it. He did that surprised half-smile thing like he wasn't sure if he should pretend to be nice or duck behind a plant. He said hi to Amber first, then to me, and then he looked at Harper and she went behind me like a meerkat, disappearing, and my heart just... I don't know, I saw red for a second. I didn't say anything crazy. I just said we were traveling and not doing this here, and that contact goes through Jennifer in the court like it has for the last many months, and he did the shrug and the "you always keep her from me" routine, which, if you've ever seen a toddler lie about a cookie, it was that exact face, but on a grown man. One of his drunk friends actually pulled him away and told him to shut up, which was the first and only time I've liked someone in that man's orbit. Harper shook for a solid 10 minutes after like she was cold even though it was 1,000,000 degrees in there. Amber wrapped the two of them in her jacket like a burrito pile, and we watched the planes and counted the luggage carts until she calmed down. On the flight she sat with me and ate those little cookies they give you, and then, very softly, asked if she had to be nice to him if she didn't want to, and I told her that being polite and being forced are different things and safety beats everything else always. She put her head on my arm and went to sleep. I almost did too. Back at home, life decided to hit the gas pedal. Jennifer started nights on her med-surg telly floor, and it turns out she likes nights. She said less visitors means less pointless drama and more actual care. Her words, not mine, and she has a weird night shift goblin energy that I did not know existed. She also started seeing someone. I was the last to know because apparently my resting dad face looks like an interrogation sometimes. His name is Matt, he's a respiratory therapist, he is quiet, he listens, he brings snacks, and he did not try to talk to Harper like she was 5 when he met her. First time he came by the apartment he had a small Lego set for her and a book about animals for Emma because I didn't want to show up with something just for one kid in front of the other, and I decided not to hate him on principle anymore. Jennifer said she told him everything up front. They're taking it slow. He met us at a Saturday soccer game and sat with us and didn't try to tell the coach what to do, which put him in the top 1% of all sports parents immediately. Later that day he and I ended up building the Lego with Harper while Jennifer and Amber talked about pregnancy heartburn and Emma taught the cat how to fetch a hair tie. Poor cat. Speaking of soccer, I have become a soccer dad against my will. Harper's team is actually decent and somehow her coach put me on the line to run a drill one weekend because someone didn't show, and now I'm good at it, which is coach speak for you showed up on time. I learned I hate those parents who scream at 8-year-olds like they are in the World Cup. One guy told his kid to take the legs and I might have said buddy they're 8 not stormtroopers louder than I meant to. Harper scored her first goal and did this shock thing where she didn't know what to do with her hands and then sprinted in a circle, then ran to me and yelled uncle. And knocked me backwards. I tasted grass and pride and, I think, one ant. Emma is deep into fencing now. She went to her first little local competition and I got nervous and started sweating like I was the one in the mask. She was calm in that weird way kids can be, like it didn't occur to her to be scared. She did great. Afterward she flopped into the car and said, "Dad, I need fries or I will pass away," in the most dramatic theater kid voice I've ever heard, and we got her fries and she reenacted every single touch for Amber at the dinner table with forks and breadsticks while the cat plotted a homicide. Amber is still running because she is an overachiever, but she's had to scale back a bit. She still ran a 10K at like 12 weeks and I ran the 5K, and all I learned is that Florida humidity is nothing compared to our neighborhood hill with a stroller. I did, however, invent the walking uphill is still cardio justification, and I will die on that hill, slowly. The baby situation has made the house feel new again. We dug out Emma's old baby stuff and baby names have turned into this bizarre bracket that got narrowed down by the girls with a seriousness I've only seen applied to candy choices. Emma is very into classic names that sound like ballerinas or queens. Harper made a case for Storm that I had to admit was compelling. Amber vetoed any name you can shout easily across a playground without sounding like you're naming a dog, which eliminated half of my fun ideas. We are not telling anyone the name until the baby is born because my mother will campaign. The girls have been helping clean out the extra room and Harper asked if the baby could sleep over at her mom's sometimes so she knows she has 2 houses that love her, and now if you don't think that made me put my head on the cereal cabinet and breathe for a second then you don't know me at all. Money-wise, Jennifer tried to sneak cash to us again and Amber caught her and made her stop. Instead, she keeps buying experiences. She surprised us with tickets to a local aquarium night thing and the girls got to pet stingrays and I found out the exact face Amber makes when an eel looks at her wrong. Jennifer got her back by hiring a cleaner to come to our house once a month as a prenatal gift, which, if you've ever seen my office, was both generous and a cry for help. Child support drama continues to be deadbeat flavored. He quit a job right when his wages started getting garnished, then went to a worse job that also garnished him and then tried to file to lower it because he had new dependents and the judge basically told him to sit down. He popped up at one of Harper's games again and the coach shut it down, One of the other dads stood with me, and I think the sight of two large tired men in sunglasses talking very calmly to him was enough to make him leave. The supervised visitation he asked for? He missed the first one. Harper was sad for a minute and then turned to me and asked if we could go get donuts instead, and we did. I am now a regular at a donut place because an 8-year-old likes the pink sprinkles there. There are worse addictions. There was an odd little moment that kind of sealed this new chapter for me. We had our first sleepover at Jennifer's apartment earlier in the summer, and the girls tried to sleep in that little tent thing in the living room that folds on you if you breathe too hard. They both conked out, and they're surrounded by stuffed animals and this ambient fish tank lamp that makes the ceiling look like a pool. I went out on the balcony because Matt and I were on kid duty for the witching hour while the moms took a walk, and he asked me how I was doing. Really? Not the tired? Joke, the actual question. I said I was scared and excited and weirdly calm about the baby, and also bracing for the newborn noise, and also kind of missing the era where my Saturdays were just me and one kid at the zoo, and that made me feel guilty. He said any dad who says he doesn't have a little grief about life changing is lying, and that love makes room, it doesn't push out the old stuff, and I realized I liked him in that moment, even if he was stealing my job as resident quiet voice of reason. Then I heard giggling from inside because the tent did collapse, and I walked back to two girls whispering we're pancakes and had to Google, is it safe for kids to sleep under a tent that fell in, because my brain is broken now. Amber's doing good for being tired a lot. She glows in the pregnant way they talk about and also sweats in the pregnant way nobody markets. She's still killing it at work, now from a yoga ball chair half the time. She has lists I am not allowed to see yet, and she keeps moving furniture 2 inches to the left and asking if I notice. I never notice. Emma is excited to read to the baby and already picked out a tiny book about dragons. Harper asked if babies can hear you through belly skin, and then sang the entire chorus of A Whole New World softly into Amber's side while the cat watched like she was judging our pitch. We had our anatomy scan last week and everything looks good so far. I cried. Amber cried. The tech handed me a box of tissues like I was going to do a magic trick with it. The last thing I'll say is this. A couple weekends ago Emma told me she wanted a dad date, just us like the old Saturdays. We went to this little breakfast place, she got chocolate chip pancakes, I got eggs I didn't eat because I was stealing her bacon, and we went to the zoo even though it was hot enough to fry an egg on a giraffe. We did not try that. We saw the sloth awake, which felt like winning the lottery. On the way out she took my hand and said, "It's weird that everything is different, but it feels the same," and I don't know how a kid hits you with philosophy like that between the reptile house and the parking lot, but there it was. Later that night at soccer, Harper asked me if I'd come to her school's STEM night because they were building marshmallow towers and you are very tall, and I said yes because I'm a sucker for being told I am useful. I drove home thinking about how I told my wife a long time ago I was tired of raising someone else's kid, and then life went and made me someone's uncle and soon to be someone's dad again, and I don't feel tired the same way anymore. I feel full, messy and sticky and sometimes loud, but full. If anyone needs me, I will be assembling a crib with instructions written by a sadist, Googling if babies can be allergic to cats, and practicing my stroller cardio on that hill I hate. Also, Storm is still in the name bracket. I'm not saying I'm lobbying. I'm just saying I own a Sharpie. Update 5. Apparently the universe heard me bragging about mastering stroller cardio and decided to speedrun me straight to the boss level. Amber went into labor at 2:41 a.m. on a Tuesday in the quiet way she does everything, which is to say she shook my shoulder and said either I peed or we have to go, and then stood there absolutely calm while I tried to put both legs into one pant leg like I was dressing for a fire. The hospital at 3 a.m. is a different planet. It smells like lemon cleaner and old coffee, and the hallways are this muted aquarium blue that makes you whisper even when no one asked you to. We had a bag packed because my wife is a spreadsheet human, and by we I mean Amber, but I still managed to forget the phone charger and bring 3 baby hats and a rogue Lego helmet that somehow lived in the bottom of our backpack since Harper's last build. Jennifer met us at the ER entrance like a ninja because night shift goblin energy is real and she knew the back door to everything. She had one of those "you are in my house" smiles on that I've learned means things will be fine. Matt took Harper back to their place and became the overnight parent on duty without a skip. He texted us later that Harper had lined up 2 picture books and a stuffed fox in a neat row for the baby's first story time, then fell asleep mid-sentence. I didn't see it, but I could picture it so clearly it weirdly calmed me down. Labor itself was. I have watched a lot of superhero movies and none of them come close to an actual human person bringing a new person into the world while I hold her hand and breathe like I'm the one doing anything useful. Amber is a machine in the best way. She went from politely thanking the nurse for ice chips to squeezing my fingers so hard I heard a knuckle pop and then apologizing to the nurse in between contractions because Amber, and I will never be over the way she said we're okay to me while she was very clearly doing something not okay for hours. There was a thunderstorm that decided to hold court all morning, the big Midwestern kind where the sky goes pewter and the windows rattle a little. We could see flashes in the gap around the shade, and in the weird way of hospital time, the outside world felt like a different country. Jennifer snuck us popsicles. The anesthesiologist came in with the energy of a beloved sitcom side character and said, "I hear we're tired of pain today," and I almost proposed to him, but apparently that's not standard. When the baby finally came, it felt like the room shrank to the size of her face. If you've been there you know what I mean, The entire world knits itself down to this tiny mouth and furious tiny lungs and the wet hair that looks like somebody styled it with melted butter. I cried. Amber cried. The nurse handed me a tissue like I was a leaky faucet and I said hi to this brand new person and she made this suspicious little old man frown like she was deciding if I was worth her time. The thunder did a faraway roll. The clock said 9:17 a.m. The doctor said healthy girl and I felt something unlock in my ribs that's been jammed with worry for months. We named her Eleanor. Ellie. And because the sky put on a whole percussion section and because Harper has been campaigning since March, with a bullet point presentation and because sometimes life writes the joke for you, her middle name is Storm. Amber looked at me a few hours later, the baby tucked under her chin, and said it's weird, but it fits, and that was that. We told the girls that night on FaceTime, and Emma did the heart hands thing and whispered Princess Ellie into the camera like she'd been waiting her whole life to say it. Harper blinked 3 times, then beamed and said, "So we actually did Storm?" Like she had pulled off the heist of the century. Only downside is now anytime there's even a distant rain cloud Harper says your namesake is practicing and Ellie does not care because she is busy trying to eat her own fist. The cat's review of the baby is mixed. She spent the first 48 hours slinking around the bassinet like we'd brought home a hairless squirrel, then fully moved into the changing table basket the second I turned my back. She also decided the nursing pillow is a very expensive cat bed and fought me for it with her eyes. If you've never been stared down by a 10-pound animal while holding a brand new human, it's a humbling experience. We have an accommodation plan now. She gets the box the diapers came in and I pretend that was my plan all along. Newborn time is the strangest kind of long day. The hospital let us go home after the routine checks and then made us come back because Ellie was flirting with jaundice levels they didn't like, so we spent one deeply surreal night with our kid under a home Billy blanket that made her glow like a tiny rave DJ. The living room looked like a submarine. Emma pulled the curtains and announced we were in night mode. Harper sat next to the couch with a clipboard she borrowed from somewhere and solemnly recorded diaper times like she was mission control. At 3 a.m. I learned that everything is both hilarious and heartbreaking when you haven't slept for more than 20-minute chunks. Amber's milk came in, which is a sentence I understood intellectually and now respect on a spiritual level. There were tears from everyone. We bought every kind of nipple cream in a 5-mile radius like idiots who think product can beat biology. It gets easier. People say it and it sounds like a greeting card, but then one day it's true in small ways. Ellie started making those please little dinosaur noises after feeds and I would run my finger over the soft spot where her hair swirls and think, okay, I can do this again at 2:44, and I did. The girls have slid into their new roles like they were rehearsing off stage all along. Emma reads to Ellie in a calm librarian voice that makes the baby go heavy-eyed in 90 seconds flat. She holds her with her fencing feet in perfect second position because of course my kid rocks a newborn with good footwork. The other day she asked if she could show the baby her mask and then held it up and whispered this is a sword hat and the baby sneezed in response, which we are counting as laughter. Harper has decided she is technically a cousin sister, which is a job with rules she invented. Rule 1 is that the baby must be greeted with a forehead kiss every time she enters a room. Rule 2 is the baby is allowed exactly 1 opinion per day and Harper will curate it. Yesterday we learned Ellie's opinion on polka dots is pro. Harper also brought over her old Duplos and laid them out like we were fundraising. She has already planned the day she will upgrade Ellie to Lego proper and I didn't have the heart to tell her Lego will probably release 6 new themes between now and then with sets that are just $300 spheres. I took 2 weeks off work and discovered that time has no meaning when your calendar is 3-hour loops. There's a street light on the corner that flickers on at 8:21 and I now feel a weird kinship with it because we both get it together around the same time. When I went back, I did one of those pretend competent first days where you answer emails in full sentences and then the second the video calls ended I was home and slinging the baby into the carrier and walking laps around the block because Ellie's favorite thing is motion and the sound of tires on wet pavement. I finally used that hill I hate as an ally. Ellie sleeps like a tiny limp noodle in the carrier while I trudge up it and Emma runs ahead narrating to her like a sports commentator. And now we see Dad approaching the very annoying incline with the grim determination of a man who wants pasta later. That kid could do play-by-play for the Olympics. We promised Emma that our Saturdays would still happen and we're making good on it in a creative way. Our first dad date post-baby was breakfast at the place with the sticky syrup bottles and the zoo because of course, and I wore Ellie like a fanny pack and Emma informed strangers, unprompted, she likes the giraffes best because they are tall like my dad, which is generous of her because Ellie likes whatever keeps her from screaming. We saw the sloth awake again, twice in one lifetime and I'm worried I used up my magic, and on the way home Emma said, I didn't know you could love someone you just met that much, and I said, me either, kid, but here we are. And then she rolled her eyes because she is genetically obligated to when I get mushy. Harper scored another goal at soccer. She did not sprint in a circle this time, she did this very serious jog toward the sideline and then made eye contact with the baby and announced that was for Ellie like she just christened a ship. The coach is cautious about babies on the sidelines but I sat far back in the shade with the diaper bag, and the level of gear I had would make a Sherpa blush. One of the moms brought over a misting fan like she was knighting me. We made it through with only one spit-up incident and it happened on my hat, which is a better fate for that hat than it was having. Jennifer is. It's rare to see someone glow for a reason that isn't pregnancy. She's on this stretch of nights that throws everyone else but gives her this rhythm that makes sense. She and Matt are slow burning it the way adults who have been bruised do, but every time he is around he does something that makes me think, yeah, okay. When we were at the hospital he didn't try to sit and hold the baby just to hold a baby, he washed the cups and put them back where they go, and he took Harper to pick a welcome home balloon, and he did not choose the giant unicorn that would have hovered in our living room like an airship for a month. He chose a simple peach-colored one that said hello, world. He plays go fish with Harper like it's high strategy, and he held the door open for everyone out of habit. None of this is sexy on a magazine cover, but it's adult gold. Deadbeat did his predictable thing and sent a congrats I hear you got a new kid text to Jennifer like he was trying to poke a bruise. She didn't respond because she has learned that responding makes everything sticky. He missed 2 supervised visits in a row, then blamed traffic like all traffic everywhere chose him. The last court thing ended with the judge using the word pattern a lot. I don't spend a lot of mental energy there anymore because there's a baby who needs burping and a Lego friend who wants to show me how to make a tree out of the wrong pieces and a fencer who is teaching herself a lunge she calls dramatic flourish, and I have finite bandwidth. There were a couple hard days because not to be a social media caption, but it is not all tiny hats and sleepy sighs. Amber had a rough patch about 10 days in where the hormones did their roller coaster and she cried because the laundry felt like a personal failure. The thing about being married to a person who is excellent is they get mad at themselves for being human. We had a midnight kitchen floor sit where she said, I think I am terrible at this, and I said you are the best person I know, and we split a sleeve of terrible crackers and fed the baby between us and watched the cat try to climb into a cereal box, and the next morning did not feel like a cliff. Jennifer sent one of her nurse friends over to peek at Latch and Shoulders and whatever other witchcraft they know, and hearing this is normal from someone who sees 5 of these a day did more for us than 12 Google searches. As a thank you, Amber insisted on paying, and the friend said, you can pay me in your banana bread recipe, so now we have a little quiet banana bread economy and I'm not mad about it. Emma had her first real fencing tournament since the baby and I somehow got more nervous. I wore the baby and forgot to breathe, and Ellie drooled on my shoulder in the shape of a small continent while my oldest did a bout with this poise that made 2 grandparents I don't know whisper wow. She didn't win the thing, but she didn't care. She hugged me and said, I didn't think about losing once, and my chest hurt from pride for an hour. Afterwards we did fries and milkshakes because we are a tradition house and because dipping fries into a chocolate shake is the one hill I will die on, and Harper made trumpets out of the paper wrappers and announced a victory of effort. I am going to steal that for the next time I fold one towel. The donut place people know us now. The morning we brought Ellie home for real, we stopped in for coffee because we are foolish and thought we could drink coffee, and the lady with the cat tattoo who always sneaks Harper an extra pink sprinkled donut slid across a box with welcome Ellie written in loopy blue icing like a little banner. It's on my phone forever. The box, not the icing. The icing was gone in 9 minutes. We have, let's call it, an evolving relationship with the baby gear. The crib directions were indeed written by a sadist or a team of sadists who were dared to see how few words they could use. I assembled it with a headlamp at midnight while Amber read me steps that were clearly translated from a language of polite birds. It's up. It holds a baby. I'm calling it a win. The stroller, on the other hand, has 17 secret buttons and you have to hold 3 of them and whisper a spell to fold it. Emma can fold it. I cannot. I am the dad who walks out of a store carrying a fully open stroller like an antenna because I refuse to let it beat me again. I contain multitudes. We took Ellie to her first pediatrician visit and they weighed her naked on this little cold spaceship plate and she peed like a fountain and the doctor laughed like she hasn't seen that 1,000 times. The bulletin board in the waiting room had a flyer for a sleep deprivation support group and I looked at it for a second like it might physically hand me a nap. We aren't there yet. We're in the warm blur stage. It feels a little like sitting on the floor of the airport watching the planes and counting the luggage carts until the adrenaline dips. There's a hum, and we're in it, and every once in a while the hum turns into a whole new world because Harper thinks singing into the baby's hair imprints the lyrics on her soul. Last night there was rain again. Not a full storm, just a soft constant static on the windows. I had Ellie on my chest doing that tiny mouse breathing babies do, and Amber had fallen asleep with her hand still around my arm because we were watching a show we will never finish, and Emma had taped a drawing to the fridge that said family practice with all of us in stick figure masks holding tiny swords, even the cat, and Harper texted me a picture of a Lego dragon with the caption future storm training buddy, and I thought about that first Saturday when I said I was tired of raising someone else's kid and how life rearranged itself around us until there wasn't a neat line between mine and yours, there was just ours. If you need me, I'll be on that hill I hate with a sleeping baby strapped to me, trying to remember which diaper cream is for what, listening for thunder with a toddler who wasn't supposed to be mine but kind of is, and practicing how to yell Ellie across a playground without sounding like I'm calling a dog. Spoiler, it still sounds like I'm calling a dog. Doesn't matter. She turns her head toward me anyway.